On the Flying Target podcast today, a person I've been trying to get hold of since I started the channel. We met for the first time in 2019 at EJ Churchill's. We had a great chat over a couple of beers in Hungary, talking all things rugby. Ben Husthwaite, welcome to the Flying Target podcast. Could I please ask you to subscribe to the Flying Target YouTube channel? It really does help getting more of these interviews online onto YouTube and sharing in the sport we all love. Now, let's get back to Ben Husthwaite.
Sorry it took so long, but thanks for your patience. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, well, the only reason it took long is that you are one of the busiest guys in the industry. I mean, this year you were everything from coach to competitor to target setter. It doesn't leave many weekends open if you add family responsibilities into that mix.
No, it's been a crazy year, to be honest. I think I've done for the first time. I think I've done just over 100 flights.
Yeah. Was that mostly coaching?
Yeah, yeah, most of this year. Because for me, if you can't win the world championship, um, I would, that's where I fast would lose interest. And by this year being one of the target setters for the world championship, working under Jamie Peckham, I couldn't compete at it. So I wasn't going to chase my tail around the world competing at events that don't really hold that stature for me. So I said, right, 2025, throttle open. Let's get this business kicking and do as much coaching as we can. And we'll come back to the competitive nature next year.
Okay. Let's go. Let's get that target setting out the way because it was, first of all, I think it's fantastic. I think it's great to see one of the top level shooters give back and actually want to go and set targets. What I didn't realize until we chatted in Cyprus was that that was a free gig. Or actually, it wasn't a free gig. It cost you money. You paid to go to Cyprus to set the targets. Why? Why do you want this in your array of skills?
I've always been a target setter. I've set more championships than what most people would understand. I've set high level targets all around the world. And then FITASC introduced this diploma. And, I think they've only given 10 out in the world, but I think only 4 of them now are active. So you have Jamie Peckham, who would be the top of the tree. You've got Tamas Jerry. You've got myself. You've got Viniero Spada and Patrick Russo. That's it. That's all there is that are licensed to set these tournaments. Now, I'm in a very lucky situation that I'm still very competitive in the world of clay shooting. I still believe I've got more world titles in me, but there's not always going to be a day when I am good enough, and you've got to sort of plan what's phase 2 in the world of Ben Husthwaite. And for me, well, let's have a look at the target setting. It's something I enjoy. And if you're not happy with situations in the sport, i.e., you're shooting some targets that you don't like, well, if you're going to criticize somebody that's done the gig and passed it, the only people, in my opinion, that should be able to criticize him is somebody that's gave
Yeah.
the same back. Don't criticize him if you're not going to give up a month of your life for free and go and join him alongside what he's doing, because you're not in a viable situation to criticize.
Well, finally, we have someone who can completely clear up what exactly happened. I'll tell you what I heard. You can clear up my either correct or incorrect misgivings. I heard that you guys had gone in there and had set some incredible targets, and a week before the tournament was meant to start, the Cypriot Fire Department came to you guys and said, "We've got this problem with the fires. We need to move all of these ranges closer to exit roads," which then ended up hampering some of the layouts you'd already set. Is that close to what happened?
Yep, pretty much.
But that last week must have been mad.
It was, but I think, as I said in my post, Jamie Peckham, in my eyes, he's a true professional, and it was his gig. I was working under him. I wasn't the target setter. I was his assistant. He was as much as Jamie trusts me to get on and do it as well. All of that responsibility fell on Jamie's shoulders, and he handled it superbly well. We were up till 2 o'clock in the morning, redesigning, shuffling things around, and for most parts, if you hadn't heard that rumor, you wouldn't have even known there was a problem. It was just, okay, we've got a shoot starting. We've got 170 machines to set. We're either going to sit here and moan about it, or we're going to get out there and start setting them. And that's exactly what Jamie's plan was. I was involved in it all, and you know, I'm, as people, you know, your listeners probably know, I'm not short of arrogance or confidence in any demeanor, and I probably went into that shoot thinking I knew everything, and I learned so much off Jamie in those 3 weeks. You know, I'm a professional shooter that sets targets, and he's a professional target setter.
Yeah.
And the stuff that he learnt me, and the shortcuts and the pre-planning and the diarizing, was invaluable. I'm certainly better at my job of target setting. I've just come back from Thailand, having set phase 1 of the Asia Grand Prix, and I used a lot of what I learned from Jamie to help myself come back on phase 2. So very much a learning curve. So it's all pegged out. All the machines, all the compact, all the FITASC Sporting is all pegged out. They know exactly where to put the machines. The machines they've got a big tournament there this weekend. Then throughout December, they'll put all them all in place, and I'll arrive on January the 3rd, and then it's all systems go. 200 compact, 200 sporting in 4 days.
We've just finished the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. You were the first murmurings of this maybe 7, 8 months ago. When I contacted you initially to talk about getting together for this podcast, I initially thought you were part of the organizing, which you then quickly dispelled. But you are quite close to the people who are running clay targets in the Middle East. Am I right?
Yeah, I worked very hard and tirelessly to put this together. FITASC with the UAE, and you know, as in many sports at this moment in time, the UAE is the key to sponsorship. You know, they are ultra wealthy and ultra keen, and with the professionalism that FITASC bring, it was only a good thing if we could get these two parties to do this together.
Yeah,
and it took a lot of work. It took a lot of phone calls, and it's turned out way bigger and better than we could ever imagined. And there'll be some huge announcements coming soon that are going to be for the next one.
lovely. So yes, you did. I did see that on your socials that we need to stay tuned. So I take it you can't drop a little crumb now.
Really, because it's not. I can, but it's not my. It's not. It's not my party. It will be the biggest event in shooting sports history.
Okay. And with that being said, I mean, there are already, I mean, the last 18 months in the shooting world has changed. Eaton Hall has come to the party. They've got a big event. I've spoken to some of the American guys in their regionals. They're bringing big money now. I know the Western Regional in the United States, big money coming there. You saying this event in the UAE going to be the biggest shooting event? This must be good for a guy who's been at the grindstone, at the coldface, shooting big time clays for a long, long time. I mean, you're one of the few guys who managed to translate junior success into senior success. It's good to see that the sport is finally catching up.
Yeah, and that's, I think, again, it's quite annoying to see what FITASC and the UAE and the went through to put this shoot on. Now, we got the entries we wanted, don't get me wrong, but there's so many mumblings and murmurings from some of the top shooters around the world and some tier 2 shooters of, oh, there's no money in the sport, oh, there's no this. Well, when there is, you don't support it. So, you know, when we have these opportunities, you need to make heaven and earth move to find the finances to go. Because if we want more money in the sport and we want more professionalism in the sport, when these people come together and put one on, we need to go and attend it.
Yeah.
You know, if they're going to put them on and we don't attend them, don't moan that, because you had the chance.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, this was attended by over 350 people from numerous countries, which is all they needed to see. But again, it could have gone the other way. And I look, the first thing that's got to happen in the sport is for us to support these events, i.e. Eaton Hall, their big tournament. People need to get behind that. The Jack Links in America, I've just come back from that shooting ground teaching there for a week. they want to make that an international event, not an American event.
Yeah.
Well, if they're willing to do that and put the money up, we need to buy the plane tickets and go and support these guys.
You are now, as we speak, actually doing another part of your life, which is the game coaching. Is game shooting, is it a passion? Is it how you relax?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we relax, but you're still being judged on the performance of the guy you're stood with. So today I'm with a very good game shooter and a client of mine for over 20 years. But, when you turn up to a game day and you've got a private instructor with you, you better bring them down,
Yeah.
So it's certainly not so intensive. The more champagne they drink, the less intensive it gets, that's for sure. But, we've smoked some good cigars, we've drank some good port, and it's just British heritage at its finest.
And that is something that I think needs to be enjoyed and needs to be, I mean, shooting game birds in the UK for me is the creme de la creme. The pegs are pricey. The number of birds are limited. If you want to go and shoot big numbers, Argentina's always available. You can come to South Africa. You can shoot pigeons as much as you like. But if you're going to attend a pheasant day at a place like Exmoor where you're at now, or somewhere in Wales or in the Highlands of Scotland, it brings a different thing, and it is a product on its own, which I think the British shooters can be very proud of.
Yeah, it's the etiquette behind it all. It's the getting dressed in the morning. It starts from the moment you wake up and you start tying your shooting tie, and you're like, okay, we're very privileged to do this. Whether it's on a 50 bird day or a 500 bird day, you've got to be able to enjoy both of those the same amount. If you're only enjoying the shooting side of it, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. There's way more behind it than just the shooting of the birds. It's the intricacy, the etiquette, the respect of the guns, the respect of the quarry, and the respect of the hundreds of people that get those birds coming over you.
It's wonderful. I look forward to it's on my bucket list of things to attend before I shuffle off this mortal coil. I have to come
Hey
and
man,
shoot
if
some
you ever
things.
want to come over, my father's got his own shoot, and you're more than welcome to come and have a peg with us there as our guest and splat into some.
Ah, fantastic. So let's talk 2026. You did mention that in January you're setting the targets for Thailand, but I do presume then after that, Ben Husthwaite, the world champion, the former world champion, kicks in and you start training, and 2026 is a competitive year.
That's the plan, right? I'm very much of a businessman now, shoot a second, right? I've got two young kids, they're everything. That's why I go to work every day and do what I do. So the drive's there, but this year I would have fired less than 3,000 cartridges in 12 months, right? And to go to the World Compact Championship and finish inside the top 5 for me was probably my biggest result ever. Having won the world title numerous times, I was prepared for those. I was unprepared for this, and to still finish inside the top 5 to me was like, oh my God, that was a bit of a wake-up call. The year before I went to the World FITASC in America, I hadn't fired the gun in 9 weeks, right? When I arrived in America. I planned to teach non-stop for 2 weeks. And then on the Wednesday before the event, I was going to fire 500 cartridges to get ready for the event, as you know, starts on the Thursday. So I taught for 2 weeks solid, 10 hours a day. Just go, 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 go. Went to Disney World with the kids and sat in the hotel room on Tuesday night like, oh my God, I'm glad that's over. Right, tomorrow you need to get your head in the game. Let's try and target a top 10 finish at the World FITASC, and I'm going to try and do that off 500 cartridges. Dream big, right?
Yeah.
My phone rings, and it's a gentleman from Wisconsin. And he says, hi, Ben, I see you in the States. Any chance, possibilities of a lesson this week? I said, unfortunately, I'm here for the World Championship, which starts on Thursday, so I'm not going to have any time. He says, what about tomorrow? I said, well, tomorrow I've got actually penciled in as my training day, so I won't be able to do that either. He said, oh, okay, well, I wish you the best of luck in your tournament. Just out of interest, when you are in the US, how much do you charge for a lesson? So I gave him the figure. He said, look, I'll take 4 hours tomorrow and double your fee. I said, I'll see you tomorrow.
No, fair enough. Money talks.
Training day out the window. So My plan next year is to train, but with leeway to continue being successful in the business.
Yeah. So you tongue-in-cheek mentioned just now the fact that some of the viewers online, it wouldn't be the biggest surprise if people called you the bad boy of shooting. Is 2026 Ben Husthwaite still the bad boy of sporting players?
Look, I would love to have done 10% of what they accused me of. That would have been a hell of a life. Now, one thing about shooters is they never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Absolutely.
So, bad boy is probably something I'm never going to get away from. I live my life in a certain way. I was raised in a certain way. You guys are from South Africa. We've spoke about it before. A lot of these people couldn't spend 10 minutes in the shoes that I was raised in, let alone a lifetime in them. So I also think that's the reason I'm so mentally strong. Now, bad boy per se over here, businessman over here, somewhere along the line, the two have to merge and blend a little bit. Next year, the goal is Ben Husthwaite world champion. That's the goal. Whether that's as a bad boy or a good boy, or I don't really care which version of it comes out or which version of it people want to see. You can go to church every Sunday, and this guy will tell you that you're a bad boy because you drove too fast going there. This is shooting for you. So I have about as much interest in what people's perception of me is as I did shooting this year. It's irrelevant. So when I see all these comments online about this and that, and Ben's a cheat and Ben's this, if you have no relevance to my life, I can assure you are wasting your time writing it, because it will have zero effect on me because you're not relevant. Now, if my father thinks that, or my mother thinks that, or my wife thinks that, I will take that to heart. But whether people think I'm a bad boy or not, I'm still the busiest instructor in the world, so there's enough out there that don't think that.
Just before I go, the Rugby World Cup, the draw has been made. And if things work out as I know they will, England will meet South Africa in the final.
But I think the best team in the world right now is South Africa. And the second best team in the world right now is the South Africa B team.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
So I don't really, unless we substantially overperform against a substantially underperforming SA team, I don't see a way they get beat in a high profile match. They can't. The Northern Hemisphere teams right now can't beat them with 14 men. Yeah. I don't know how we're going to try and beat them with 15.
Okay, but now let's take this back then to the shooting. You are someone who's been a world champion. You've won on the highest stage. So the Springbok team now have gone back to back. I actually take my hat off to Rassie Erasmus, because I don't know if I would have signed up for that job, because he's only got one way to go. So he'll either end his next cycle as the greatest coach to ever do it, or
he's just signed up to 2031.
Yeah. So, I mean, he could go another 2 World Cups and end up as the greatest coach to ever do it, or it could all end up with egg on the face. You, as someone who has been at the highest echelon, been a world champion, when you came back the next year, how different was it?
Huge. Defending champion, I think, is the worst place to be. First time. Defending champion, second time, that's what you live for. AJ Smoker Smith, if you remember AJ, was one of my closest friends, and he said to me, Ben, if you want to be remembered as being good, win a world title. You want to be remembered as being great, win it twice. If you want to be a legend, win it more. Right? That was his saying. Now, I think in all sports, fear is responsible for a lot of losses.
Yes.
So if we look at George Digweed in his prime, not only was he good, he was feared.
And fearless.
Yeah, but he was also feared. People assumed they couldn't beat him. Then myself and Richard came along, who were young kids, also fearless. So we matched him.
Yeah.
And I think the same with SA. People are scared of them already. They're scared of the ferocity, and they're scared of scrum time. Well, if you've got a 10% edge in any high level sport, that 10% is as wide as you want it to be. If you don't think you can win, you can't win. If you go into a shoot off and you think that guy is better than you, save the shells.
Yeah, you're both right. You're both right.
Yeah, so that for me is something and again, while we're talking about it, I think rugby has been a huge part of my success as a sporting clay shooter, because they're just mentally more stable, mentally more acute to the issues that go on, and mind games in rugby can physically hurt.
Yeah.
Mind games in shooting are just mind games.
Yeah.
So
Fantastically interesting.
unfortunately, I'll be betting on your team.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for your time again. We'll be chatting soon in the new year. All the best with the hunt you're currently on and with the targets you're setting in Thailand. And may 2026 be a successful year for you.
All right, man, take it easy.